meeting to order. Have the opening prayer. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. We ask this in your holy name. Amen. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, gentlemen, you have the minutes for July the 13th meeting. Are there any additions or deletions to those minutes? Move to be accepted by Mr. Cookman. Second by Mr. Trahan. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. You have a copy of the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes. You also have the Planning Board minutes. This time, we generally open the meeting to the public. If there's anyone who wishes to address the board at this time, we're glad to hear you.
Turn that down.
Yeah, you can turn it down. I don't think anybody's too hot. Turn it off. Right in the headset. Yeah, if it gets too hot, we'll open the window. Now, do you want to address the board down there? Or?
I'm Cynthia Parker, and I was just wondering if you had gotten my letter.
Yes, I did, Cynthia. I have it right here on my desk. We'll read that at the public hearing.
I just wanted to let you know we'll be voting on resolution tomorrow night for a sales tax exemption week coming up, 2 weeks actually. We just got word of it Friday from the state, and we have to pass it this week if we want it to go into effect. There'll be 2 sales tax-free weeks proposed, September 1st to the 7th, which is right before school start, and then January 15th to 21st. So the state eliminates its 4% tax, and we eliminate our 3%. And I don't see any reason why it would pass tomorrow night. The items that are free from sales tax, of course, are clothing and footwear, and they've increased the amount up to $500. Before it was items of $110 or less, now it's $500 or less. We've settled our negotiations with the sheriff department. We were having quite a turnover problem, and money seemed to be an issue, because after we trained these fellows, they were leaving for corrections and Plattsburgh Police Department. In fact, today another one just left. So we thought maybe by making the salary a little bit more attractive, we'd be able to keep them after spending a lot of money on training. And we're now waiting for our CSEA contract. We received our mediator's report, but as of today, I heard the CSEA union isn't going to go for it, but I don't know for sure yet. We'll also be updating our 911 equipment. We leased the 911 for 5 years, and our lease is up, and we're going to have much better equipment from a company in Montreal called Positron. And it's cheaper than what we've been paying before, so that's a new development. Also, our tower on Rand Hill is up and running, so our emergency services are one of the best in the area, or several northern counties for sure, if not in the state. As you know, we're working on roads. Roads in the county are in terrible shape. They were neglected for a few years, and we've gotten back into a schedule of doing roads. We have a 15-year schedule based on priority. But they're so bad, I don't think some of them can wait 15 years. So we're thinking of doubling up next year, probably borrowing double what we borrow now to do our roads maybe in 7 years. But that's going to be a budget issue when we discuss at the Finance Committee. Our sales tax continues to be ahead of projection. We don't know why, but we love it and we're happy with it. Next week at our Finance Committee meeting, we'll be looking at the budget request from Clinton Community College. You probably saw in the paper they're asking for a 9% increase. So we'll get that. Also, the Chamber of Commerce is coming to us next week. I'd appreciate any comments you might have. If you have any feelings about either one of those 2 budgets, the Chamber or the Community College, I always like to hear from people and what they're thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Celine? The only thing we have on the agenda tonight, Lean, in reference to you is the agreement, contract agreement to sign with the Board of Assessment, Mr. Jim Gagnon. We have a couple concerns about the type of contract. Anyone else care to address the board at this time? If not, we'll go to the meeting. Item one on your agenda. 7:30 for the long. This relates to cell towers, and it goes to say it's from the zoning officer, and its subject is fee for telecommunication tower and our users. Attached, please find a resolution establishing a fee schedule regarding new towers or new uses or existing towers. The local law regarding telecommunication towers was passed April 1999. It is now part of the zoning law. It was an error that a fee schedule was not drafted at that time. The fees in the attached resolution are the same as the town of Plattsburgh and the town of Shazy. And the resolution is, whereas the town board of the town of Champlain has enacted local law number 1 of the year 1999, entitled a local law amending town of Champlain zoning law with respect to telecommunication towers. And whereas the town of Champlain must now designate an application fee for projects which are comply with the local law number 1 of 1999. Now therefore it is resolved that the town board, the town of Champlain, does hereby set and establish application fee as follows. Fee schedule A, new communications tower installation, $5,000, to be submitted with and at the time of the application. Applications with communications device already attached to the existing structure or towers are located within an existing tower site, $3,000, to be submitted with and at the time of application. And it is further resolved that the application fee schedule as presented above shall take effect immediately for the town of Champlain local law number 1, 1999, entitled A Local Law Amending the Town of Champlain Zoning Law with respect to telecommunication towers. So gentlemen, are there any discussions on this motion? No discussion on the motion. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion by Jules Trahan. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Take a roll call vote. Mr. Trahan?
Aye.
Mr. Cookman?
Aye.
Supervisor votes aye. Number 2 on your agenda is a letter from the Village of Champlain, and it's addressed to the supervisor. It says, Dear Arnie, your letter of June the 30th, 1999 was discussed at our recent board meeting. The Board of Trustees agreed that should a fire district not be formed, it would be appropriate for the town and the village to split any legal costs incurred. Attached, find the information sent by Attorney Young. If the fee schedule and retainer agreement are acceptable, please let me know, and we'll make arrangement to have the retainer charge changed to indicate that Mr. Young will be serving as attorney for both the town and the village. I hope that you will be able to schedule a meeting with Mr. Young in the next few weeks so that our planned public hearing can take place in August. Please contact me if you have any questions or require additional information. And you see the fees schedule. The fee schedule is herewith enclosed a retainer agreement for your review. If the same meets your approval, please sign with indicated and return to my office in the envelope provided, together with a check in the amount of $1,500. I am charging a retainer fee of $1,500, which is payable upon retaining my firm. I anticipate the total cost of my service to be approximately $2,500 to $4,500. Additional charge beyond the initial retainer of $1,500 will be billed monthly as set forth in the retainer agreement. I am also enclosing my firm's bill for services rendered November the 9th, 1998 through May the 6th, 1999 in the amount of $142.50. That's from Mr. Young. In reviewing this with the attorney, Mr. Henry Van Acker, Henry feels that he would be able to form this fire district without availing the services of Mr. Young. So you see what the cost for Mr. Young would be. Split with the village, our obligation would be as much as $2,250. Henry says that he can do this, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. We have been talking about it. There's one other thing that you should be known, and that is the surveying of a town fire district. Were you able to get anything on that today?
I spoke to one of the gentlemen at the Department of State, and he felt that a surveyor's survey of the perimeter of the district was necessary as a part of the forming of the district. And I said, was this the case even though the district lines would follow the corporation lines between the towns and the town and the village? And he said yes. And so I asked Neil Carey, who's done some surveying for us, for an estimate, and he was going to call the New York State Association of Fire Districts to try to pinpoint exactly what they want and by way of a survey, and then try to get back to me, but he didn't have a chance today. He wasn't able to give me an estimate just yet, but he felt that the fee would probably be, if it meant an actual survey of the perimeter, that it would probably be fairly pricey. But he, as I say, he was going to try to iron out just exactly what the state needed and then give me an estimate, and that's where we were going to start.
So knowing that, gentlemen, what are your thoughts? Do you feel that we should go with Mr. Young, or should we have Mr. Van Acker?
I
Do
feel
this
if our
part.
attorney, Mr. Van Acker, can do it, I would say we stay with Mr. Van Acker.
Okay. So is there a motion that we retain Mr. Van Acker to do the fire district?
Also move.
It's been motioned by Mr. Cookman. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Trahan. Is there any further discussion on the motion? No further discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 3 on your agenda is from the Real Property Tax Service Agency. As you've all probably read, the county, I guess, was kind of disturbed by not receiving the maintenance aid from a few of the towns. So they decided to adopt a resolution, Resolution 440. And the towns must have a contract with the Real Property Office to avail of their services without a charge, and also surrendering 50% of the maintenance aid money. I had Pat Ayers do a review on the contract and, of course, past history, and you all should have got a copy of that July the 28th, 1998. And those are Pat's recommendations, what we should do. And also inform the county that we feel that, there is a little bit equity change here, whereas between towns, of course, we all know that certain towns have full-time assessors, certain towns have elected assessors. And as you know, you've been here since we had full-time assessor, and you can see the difference between appointed and full-time. Full-time has more time to do the job, which is only natural. Not only that, but in the contract that they wish us to sign, the agreement goes to read, this agreement made on such and such a day with Clinton County, a municipal corporation, for the office located at 130 Montgomery Street, Market Street, Plattsburgh, New York, and the town of Champlain, a municipal corporation with office located at P.O. Box 3144, Champlain, New York. Whereas the county has adopted maintenance aid and assessment administration policy, whereas the policy requires a written agreement for all municipalities agreeing to share future mutual aid, maintenance aid payments. Whereas the agreement shall be for 3 years and include the following time periods: August the 1st, 1999 to July the 1st, 2000, August the 1st, 2000 to July 31st, 2001, August the 1st, 2001 to July the 1st, 2002. Whereas maintenance aid application has been made for the roll years 1998 and 99. Whereas because Clinton County expected to share in these reimbursements, these aforementioned roll year revenues are included in this agreement. And whereas a municipality that enters into this agreement also agrees to participate in any and all revaluations or updates that the county coordinates. And whereas the municipality has no outstanding maintenance aid revenue owed to the county. Now therefore the parties are mutually agree to the following. The town, city agrees to maintenance of a system of improved real property tax administration as outlined in real property tax law, RPTL section 1573. The town, city agrees to reimburse within 30 days from the receipt of maintenance aid revenues from New York State Division of Budget 50% of all revenues received for the roll years 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002. In consideration for the maintenance aid revenues paid to the town, the county agrees to assist with all reasonable requests for assistance. Determination of what constitutes reasonable request shall be at the discretion of the Director of Real Property Services. The term of this agreement shall be from July the 1st, 1999 to June the 30th, 2002. Notwithstanding any provision of this agreement, either party may elect to terminate this agreement upon 30 days prior written notice to the other party, as long as all maintenance aid payments are current. The witness thereof, parties herein to set their hands to seal the day and year that written above. One problem I have with the contract is the stipulation a municipality that enters into this agreement also agrees to participate in any and all revaluations or updates that the county coordinates. I will not commit the town to that. We've always paid our maintenance aid money to the county. I think this year's split was $2,500. If they really want to get particular about this, I think for $2,500 they should have forgot about it, myself personally, because there is a lot of inequities with what we receive and for what we pay. I intend this, Celine, for you to get a copy of the Patricia Ayer Policy and Maintenance Aid Assessment Administration. I think you should read this. We received a letter today. It was dated August the 6th, and it's from Mr. James Gagnon. And it says, Dear Mr. Beal, we have not received your maintenance aid agreement for August the 1st, 1999, as outlined in my letter of June the 30th, 1999. Accordingly, your office will receive only those services outlined in Real Property Tax Law, Section 1532, effective August the 1st, 1999. Should you need changes, please feel free to call Mr. James Gagnon. Does the board have any input on this? Have you read Patricia Ayer's statement that she drew up?
I think what Pat wrote up is what we really need here.
Well,
No question about it.
I really think these should be addressed, by the county. I'm not saying that Patricia is 100% right, but I mean, she does have a lot of valid points. But I think, there are some questions in here that should be answered by Mr. Gagnon's office, if not Mr. Gagnon, the county. So what I would like to do is to forward this on to you and also to Mr. Gagnon and let you look at it. As far as I feel, I will not commit the town to the authority of Mr. Gagnon's office to tell me when I need a revow.
I think that never should have been put into that contract. That has nothing to do with the maintenance agree money.
And I don't agree with that, where it says that he will be the only ones for a reasonable request. He will make the complete decision on that. I don't agree with that part of it either on that part of the agreement.
I certainly think that, the town of Champlain is taxed about $30 some odd thousand, a year for taxes to run that department. And the maintenance aid money that we pay is not a great deal of money. And I just personally think there was a lot of up-to-do made over the maintenance aid money. Any other members have anything on it? Okay, gentlemen, that was number 3. You're on to number 4. Number 4 is from the United States Department of Commerce, and this is on the census update. And the Bureau of Census received our information. And of course, they're just telling us that the Bureau of Census is providing the following information as a preliminary feedback on the materials you submitted for 1999 address list review. This information does not indicate whether the Bureau of Census has accepted or rejected your local housing unit estimates or the updates you made on the map. It only acknowledges our receipt of your material and documents. Any change we made to them were based on contacts with your staff. Number 5 on your agenda is from Lisa LaFountain, and this is the Telergy. Enclosed. We sent Lisa the road permit for installing the fiber optic cable, but in discussion with her and also in review, we have a franchise with the cable company, the telephone company, and the electric company. Therefore, within the franchise, they are allowed to proceed upon town highway roads without a right-of-way fee. Telergy has no franchise with this town of Champlain. Therefore, they're requesting to go on our road. Does the board want to charge them a right-of-way fee?
I would think so.
Well, this is generally done when you don't have a franchise, and right-of-way fees are variable. They range all kinds of prices. What I would like to do is negotiate with Telergy for our right-of-way fee. Does the board have any stipulations on what they want to charge? Minimum?
I wouldn't.
Okay. So with the board's permission, I would like to negotiate a right-of-way fee with the Telergy company.
I'll make a-
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we give the supervisor the permission to negotiate with Telegraph and see what they can come up with.
Okay, second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Sometime I suppose we ought to have a schedule of those fees at some point.
What I'd like for you to do is, if you would, is look up and write up a right-of-way agreement.
Okay.
And I've checked with a couple areas on right-of-way fees, and they vary to a per foot payment yearly, and also a lump sum. So we'll negotiate the best we can. Number 6 on your agenda is Mayor Rivers and the village trustees. And the town of Champlain would like to know if the Rouse's Point would consider a joint ore storage reserve for both the town of Champlain and the village of Rouse's Point. The town is now considering a new water supply system for our town outside area and would like to know if you have plans to expand your present water treatment in the near future. And if so, would you consider a joint effort? We would appreciate having the opportunity to discuss this possibility. And Mr. Rivers did get back to us along with the village board, and yes, they are interested in discussion. What they have done is formed a 2-member committee for the village of Rouse's Point, and what I'd like to do is form a 2-member committee for the town of Champlain to discuss this. So, is there any volunteers who would like to be on the committee? Okay, I'll take 1 member as a committee. I'll appoint Mr. DeMars as 2nd member of the committee. Any objections to that? No objections, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Got away with that one, didn't it? Okay, number 8 on the agenda is from New York State Local Retirement System, and there again, that's telling us that the seminars are available for the people that are interested in retiring, and we will make this, they have to have a reservation form, pre-retirement seminar, and we'll put this on the bulletin board and make it available to the employees. We have the New York State, number 9 on your agenda, is New York State Deferred Compensation Plan. As a public employer in New York State, the town of Champlain has the option of adopting the New York State Deferred Compensation Plan. There are over 400 local public employees who have adopted the plan. In our capacity as the administrative service agency of the plan, we have assisted each of these localities in implementing the plan. The plan provides you and your employees various services including high-quality investment options, including mutual funds for 13 fund families, ongoing support of a full-time dedicated field representative, a toll-free customer service helpline to work with both you and your employees in their enrollment in the service needs, a 24-hour access basic account information through the plan's automated voice response unit, and a plan website giving participants access to information about the plan on their own plan account. Gentlemen, what this is more or less, I guess, is about the same thing as a 401k. What we are required to do is you have a sample resolution before you, and that resolution has to be adopted before the employees are eligible to participate in this plan. This resolution does not say they have to participate, it just says they can participate. And if you've all read the resolution, it basically says, whereas the employee, the town of Champlain, wishes to adopt a deferred compensation plan for employees in the state of New York and other participating public jurisdictions, plan for the voluntary participation of all eligible employees. And whereas the town of Champlain is a local public employee eligible to adopt the plan pursuant to Section 5 of the state finance law. Whereas the town of Champlain has reviewed the plan established in accordance with Section 457 of the Internal Revenue Code, Section 5 of the state finance law of the state of New York. Whereas the purpose of the plan is to encourage employees to make their continued careers with the town of Champlain by providing eligible employees with a convenient tax-favored method of saving on a regular and a long-term basis, and there provide for their retirement. So gentlemen, is there a motion that we adopt the resolution allowing the parties in public that works for the town of Champlain to join?
Also move.
Motion by Mr. Cookman. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Trahan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. By the way, there'll be a meeting tomorrow for the employees for that. Sound good?
There's 1 p.m. on that. You're right.
August 11th at 1 p.m. We have a meeting on the deferred compensation plan for all interested employees. Someone will be here to explain this to you at this time. So everybody's welcome. Okay, close the public meeting. We'll open the meeting for the local law public hearing. If you want to read the public hearing notice.
Town Board of the Town of Champlain will hold a public hearing on the adoption of a proposed local law number 4 of 1999, which said local law amends the town zoning law so as to add, amend, and eliminate certain sections to add, amend, and eliminate zoning districts, add and amend definitions, provide for other amendments. The full text of the proposed amendments can be obtained at the town clerk's office, Town of Champlain, 729 Route 9, during normal business hours. The hearing will be held at the town offices and meeting rooms located at 729 Route 9, Champlain, New York, on the 10th day of August, 1999, at 7:30 p.m. Persons wishing to be heard or on such proposed local law will be given an opportunity to speak. A regular meeting of the town board will be held at the same time and place.
Got to read it?
Read the whole law?
Does anyone here wish that we read the whole law? Does anyone here wish to have us read the full law? You all reviewed it and you know what you're either here to agree with or complain about? I have one letter to read that I received. It's from Cynthia Park. It says, "Dear Mr. Beal, I would like to make a proposal to amend the addition of vehicle repair shops to the exclusion list of small business cited on page 39 of the Town of Champlain zoning law. Please let me know if there's any other action I should be taking other than writing this letter. Thank you for your prompt attention. Sincerely, Cynthia Parker." Yes, sir. Okay, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on the change of the proposed amendments to the Town of Champlain local zoning law? State your name and your residence for the record.
My name's Carl Shank, and for anybody that doesn't know me, and I'm also a member of the planning board in the town. And I was the only member of the planning board that disagreed with the adoption of the school bus law that you're going to vote on tonight. And I want to come forth and talk about it a little bit before it was either adopted or opposed. What the planning board and the zoning board want to do is want to adopt a law to allow anybody in the town of Champlain to own a school bus for storage in the town. And I don't really feel that that's a good idea. And I'll give you my reasons on that, which I gave the planning and the zoning at the time of the meetings. Number one, I don't have any children or grandchildren, but still, I try to look out for the welfare of the people of the town. And I think that a school bus is a dangerous thing. I think it's like a refrigerator with a door on it. I believe that it could trap someone inside. Kids could get hurt into it. There's also an issue about fluids in a bus that's abandoned, which could have fuel or motor oil, grease in the transmission or rear end. And because these vehicles aren't going to be maintained, I feel that down the road there's going to be a problem with the fluids leaching into the ground. It's a possibility. At this time, the town doesn't allow storage trailers, or they don't allow manufactured housing for storage. And I just can't understand why you would allow a school bus in the town of Champlain. Personally, I feel that the town is open to business, for business, and not to junk it up. There's a problem in the town right now with a lot of junk cars. It's being addressed. I don't know how far it's gotten. The zoning officer's pretty stretched out on that. And they're just unsightly, I feel. Now, the law calls for the buses to be out of sight and fenced. By the time you go and fence a school bus, you could buy or you could purchase a small storage building, or you could build one. So I don't feel that the law should be enacted on. And again, I just want to tell you how much I feel about the possibility of a school bus becoming a trap for a child. And I hope somebody else would want to comment on that tonight. Thank you.
So you're saying that you feel we should have no buses?
I feel that buses are for transportation only.
So they shouldn't be allowed on anybody's property if they buy one,
Correct.
the school. Because this says, add to the definition of junk, one unregistered and unlicensed bus shall be included in the definition of junk and shall be kept out of sight of any public highway and adjoining or, it should adjoining adjacent property line.
I don't feel buses should be allowed at all.
Oh, okay, I just want to get that straight, okay. Anyone else care? Yes, Barb?
I just wanted to clarify a couple of things that Mr. Shank said. The night that it was voted on, it was a joint meeting of the planning and the zoning boards. Unfortunately, we don't often see all of our members there. They're each a 5-man board. That night, there were 3 members of planning and there were 3 members of zoning, 4 members of zoning, excuse me. 3 out of the 4 zoning members voted against this. Mr. Shank and I believe 1 other member on the planning board was a little, Mr. Shank voted no, the others were a little more, don't know. I agree with Mr. Shank. I think that school buses should be used to transport children back and forth to school. I don't think they should be used as storage buildings. I think it's unsightly. Grass starts growing up between the tires, they sink in the ground. You've got one just as you come through Miners Woods heading into the town of Champlain. It's full, it's chock full, and it's in plain sight. And if you're going to go to the expense of buying a bus and then putting it in a fenced area, I don't see the sense to it. If you're going to buy it for parts, take the parts off and get rid of it. It's just that's my opinion as a resident for the town of Champlain. I don't understand. I personally don't feel it should be bus should be even included under junk. You do state 2 or more junk vehicles, and a junk vehicle is defined as being unregistered or unlicensed. If you left it like that, somebody buys a bus and they've got another unregistered vehicle in the yard, then it's an enforceable law to have them do something about it.
Is that all, Bart? Anyone else care to address the board on the zoning? Yes?
Richard Lauren, town of Champlain. I think the town should try to get these things out to the public so that people know what's going on. By putting a little ad in the paper really doesn't tell you what you're acting on. And a lot of people don't receive the paper, and the majority of them don't read those legal notices. I think this should be mailed out to every landowner. You're only talking about 1,630 lot people. And that way they would have the information and they would know what's going on. Otherwise, you come in here and you apply for a permit, and then that's how they find out what the problem is. And I don't think that's fair to the taxpayers.
Anyone else? Enchanted, Barb?
Just as a comment for Mr. Lawrence, I'm the zoning officer, so whenever anyone comes in for a variance or special use permit, I have to notify legally people within 500 feet of this person's property. I take the extra and I go 1,000. So sometimes I send out 25 letters, sometimes I send out 5, depends how many properties there are. I can honestly tell you, Mr. Lawrence, that a letter delivered right to their house, this room is empty on our meeting nights. People don't come. They might, but
You must have someone to come to check once in a while.
very, very few. I have log sheets that I can show you for 5 years of meetings. And I would almost swear that we've never had more than 50 people over the 5 years. It's unfortunate because it does affect them eventually. They should take an interest.
And some get very upset with it.
As well they should, for not knowing, but
Yeah, but a lot of people don't get the paper.
I know, but most of them get the mail.
Yeah, but some of this fee money could go against this mail. When you apply for a permit, you gotta pay for it.
I don't have objections to sending them out, but I don't know that people would pay attention.
Is there anyone else care to address the board? No one else caring to address the board? I'll close the public hearing, reopen the meeting. Okay, gentlemen, you have the local law. Is there any board member that has any discussion on this proposed amendments to the Town of Champlain zoning law? Anything they would like to discuss?
You can leave those trailer deals in there, or?
Add, that's number 11. Do you want to remove or keep? Add to the definition of junk, one unregistered, unlicensed bus shall be included in the definition of junk and shall be kept out of sight of any public highway and adjoining any property line. Stop and think now, is this saying, do I understand this right? If I buy a bus tomorrow and I put it onto my property, what action can you take to remove that bus? Now,
Right now, unless you have another vehicle on your property that is not registered and unplated, and the repairs to that vehicle are more than it's worth, there is not a thing I can do.
Okay.
You may keep that bus, you may keep it in plain view.
so am I right in saying this is not going to stop buses coming on property?
No, you're
Right.
right. It will not stop.
So in other words, if I want to buy a bus and put it on my property, that's permissible now.
Right now, if that's the only unlicensed, unregistered vehicle you have, yes, you may.
If I have that bus and I don't adopt this part of the local law, I have an old car on my property, one old car.
Mhm.
Now that constitutes one junk car and not two.
If it is unregistered and unplayable and repairs to that car are more than it's worth, yes.
Well, I don't think Doc Southwood keeps the plates on that bus year-round, does he? He bought the old bus I was driving, and he drives all to these sales. He's got all his parts for his Model A's in this bus.
Well, he drives it to Stowe.
Yeah.
He drove
But I
it last year.
Well, if he's driving it, it must be registered.
Well, I don't think he keeps it registered year-round for a couple trips.
You can't register every month you want it. You register for about a year. Unless you go a half year.
Yeah, you can go a half a year.
All right, it's
He
registered.
doesn't go to any car shows in the winter, I don't think.
But you can't register for the first 6 months, only the last 6 months. Right? When you register a vehicle.
I've never registered a vehicle for
You
6
can't register a
months.
vehicle for January, February, March, and April. You gotta register for the full year.
No, I would think
In
so.
July, you can register for 6 months.
Can you? I've never done that.
Well, I have, you can do it before.
Well, I don't think you register a motorcycle for all them years. You don't wait till July to register a motorcycle.
But then you register for the whole year.
Well, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, yes, you do.
Well, I think that's immaterial to the law, but what is the opinion of the board? Would they like to see this taken out, or what?
If the bus is registered, he has nothing to worry about.
I don't think we should have buses used as storage buildings. I have to agree with this gentleman that if
Well,
you
this
need
is
a
not gonna-
storage building, then you should build a building. You shouldn't buy a bus to use it as a storage building.
Am I not right in saying that if I do not adopt this, one step further, I can now get a bus, put it on my property, and use it as a storage building?
Right now, you can, yes. If you take this out of here, it will give us the opportunity to take it back to the two boards and fight to get the same ruling on a school bus as what we have on a single-wide manufactured home, in that it may not be used for anything other than the purpose it was manufactured for.
How many people are going to buy more than one bus?
How many are going to buy a bus?
How many are gonna buy a bus?
Well, I know quite a few people own a bus, just one.
And what do they do with the bus?
Well, a lot of people do different things.
Back in
No.
the woods,
Yeah.
am I right?
Make a hunting camp out of it, yeah, that's one alternative.
Transport it.
So basically, what this is saying, if you buy a bus, the bus is now included as a car. If you have two unlicensed vehicles that, as she says, meets those standards of not being able to be on the road, costing more to fix up, they're considered junk. So that's 2 unlicensed vehicles. Is that correct?
But how are you gonna enforce it? You can't enforce what you have now.
Any law that you make is only as good as its enforcement.
I understand that, but you have your zoning person stretched right out to the max.
But zoning people don't, they make the law, they recommend the law. They don't institute the punishment for the law.
They write the tickets, they send the letters,
Zoning officer does that, I believe, don't they?
correct?
Not the zoning board.
I said the zoning people, your zoning officer.
But, well, anyway, the floor is closed to the public as now. It's just the board comment. Thank you. So what's the board's interpretation? Do they want to remove it or leave it?
I don't. I won't.
Well, let me start with the first part of it, and I'll give you a chance to think of it. Okay, the first part of it, add the following section 320 permitted use chart, residential zones. Have you all read that, gentlemen? Do you fully understand it? Do you want that left in? That's indoor recreation, nursery, florist, greenhouse, produce sales, farmer's market, seasonal bulk storage, self-storage facility, and home manufacturing. You see anything wrong with that? R1 and R2. Special use approval is still have a special use approval. Number 2, add the following definitions of home manufacturing. The manufacture of wooden or ceramic products, handicraft objects, or similar products conducted on the property in which the owner resides within a residential structure, a garage, accessory structure, or where the structure formerly used as a barn for a farm, and no more than 3 people be employed in the business. Indoor recreation facility where recreation activity is conducted wholly inside a building. Floor area ratio. The ratio of a floor area permitted on a lot size, for example, 100,000 square foot with a 40% maximum floor area ratio. The maximum floor area would be 40,000 square feet. 40,000 square feet could all be in the first story, or could be partially on the first story and partially on the second story. Minimum open space, the minimum amount to be sourced as open space on a lot. Buildings, roadways, parking space, or storage areas shall not be considered as open space. Open space must be a grassed or a landscaped open area. Add to the zoning list, add to the list of zoning districts, section 200, PIP, that's Planned Industrial Park. On the zoning district map, change the current L1 LI zone, LI1 zone, district located just east and adjacent to the village of Champlain to PIP. And those recommendations on your second page, section 336, dimensional requirements for PIP, Planned Industrial Park Dimension Chart. Minimum lot size, none. Maximum building setback from State Route 11, 100 feet. Front yard setback to edge of pavement, 20 feet. Side yard setback to edge of pavement, 8 feet. Side yard setback to building, 50 feet. Rear yard setback to building and our edge of pavement, 50 feet. The minimum highway frontage, 200 feet. Floor area ratio, 40% maximum, 20% minimum. The minimum open space, 10%. Maximum building height, 35 feet. I think this matches the industrial parks recommendations, if I'm not mistaken.
It is identical to the village of Champlain's industrial park district.
And that's only for that area right behind the planned industrial park. There again, you have the permitted use with setbacks. Number 6, eliminate motor vehicle repair auto body shop from section 325 permitted use chart. And number 7, add auto body to motor vehicle sales and repair in section 325 permitting use chart. That's just basically what Barb explained to me, and I looked at it as just a change due to duplication in the zoning. Number 8, add to section 325 permitted use chart convenience stores with gas sales and allow it in the same district as motor vehicle sales, repair, and auto body. Section 200, eliminate SL4 and convert these to SL3, doing away with the SL4 districts. Change SL1 zone between Route 11 and Elm Street to L1I2. Add to the definition of junk, you read that. Okay, basically, is there anything somebody doesn't like about this on the board? Addressing, where's that letter? The one from Mrs. Parker. Just follow it? Danny's home pepper. Well, anyway, Barb, I pose this question to you. You're familiar with Mrs. Parker's statement. That number 8, add to section 325 permitted use chart. You live on 9B, don't you, Mrs. Parker?
Correct.
What effect would that have on the area of 9B? Is that,
Well, we just have one there now.
you have a small maintenance shop, I think, just built up the road. You know.
That entire section from the village of Rouse's Point, right straight through, I believe, all along Route 9B, is an R1 district, which is residential 1. And in an R1 district, certain small businesses are allowed. Certain businesses are excluded because it was felt, I believe, at the time zoning passed, that it would create excessive noise or traffic. And they were residential zones, they were meant to be homes, and that's what they were supposed to be. You exclude from an R1 zone gasoline sales establishments, taverns, nightclubs, restaurants, campgrounds, travel trailer parks, mobile home parks, truck stops, warehousing, sawmills, motels, kennels, amusement parks, slaughterhouses, junkyards, marinas, and motorized vehicle racetracks. Most of these businesses, if you take a look at them, create a lot of noise. Motor vehicle repairs, I think, creates noise. I understand what Mrs. Parker's asking.
But this number 8 has nothing to do, that's already allowed now in the Route 9 area. And this 8 has nothing to do with that, does it?
No, no. Because they're strictly adding convenience store with gas sales to allowed uses of motor vehicle, auto body repair shops and sales in industrial commercial uses. This is not categorizing or adding that to R1 districts. In an R1
So
district.
I couldn't build a gas station or gas sales on Route 9B in that R1 district.
You're right,
Okay.
right now.
By adopting this, would that allow me?
Yes, anyway.
No,
Okay.
no, because it's an R1 district. This number 8 strictly adds it to where it's allowed in industrial and commercial areas, not in an R1 zone.
Not in R1. Okay, gentlemen, any questions you want to know about? Is there anything that you want struck from this local law?
I would strike 11 and 12.
11 and 12. A motion on the floor to strike 11 and 12 in the local law. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion?
11 is the buses, isn't it? Bus deal. What's 12?
12 is to add to the definition of junkyard 2 buses. That should be taken into account.
Motion on the floor is still looking for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? No further discussion on that motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Now, striking 11 and 12 from the local law. Does the board wish to adopt the local law?
Excuse me, I feel more comfortable if we actually, if we schedule this over again, now that we've made those changes, because the law says that it has to be in final form a certain number of days beforehand, and as I say, I feel more comfortable if we
Re-advertise?
re-advertise and schedule it for the next meeting,
Okay.
or a subsequent meeting.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion
there's,
that we re-advertise to the next meeting, and we schedule a public hearing with the, taking out 11 and 12.
is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Okay. I think we stopped. Number 11 on your agenda, gentlemen, from the Voting Machine Service Center. They informed us of their Y2 compliance. Also, they're making us aware that they do maintenance on the voting machines. So that'll give us another person on the list to repair the machines. And also, they're telling us we can also convert your existing die-cast pointer voting machines to removable pointer print-o-matics with a brand-new warranty. So the machines are getting up. Number 12 on your agenda, this is from Pat Ayers. It's for your information, gentlemen. It may have something to do with us later on. Number 13 on your agendas. This is from McCarthy, President and Board Members of New York State Assessors Association. And there are some significant changes that they're concerned about out there. And what they're asking, I guess, is a response for changes in procedure requiring the documentation be provided to justify a significant change in the assessment. Whereas they're saying that, well, you know, you may have items out there that do not require a building permit, therefore the building permit would not be applied for. And they are concerned about this. But a significant change is, would be less than 10% of the physical change, be very significant indeed. $1 million house, which is, you know, put in an $80,000 swimming pool, is not uncommon in today's market. Installed after tax status date and before the sale date would not be allowed to be corrected under these current rules. Documentation cannot be limited to building permits. So, number 14 on your agenda is from the State of New York Office of Real Property Service. The town assessors, supervisors, school business managers, and county directors has come to the staff's attention that inventory used in determination of the 1999 federal franchise assessment for New York State Electric and Gas in your town was an error. Charges made reflecting new construction and ice storm damage that occurred in January of 1998 were significantly overstated. This is an unusual circumstance and additionally complicated by the fact that the error was not discovered until the final assessment was established. As the State Board meeting on August the 20th, 1999, staff will recommend that the State Board correct the clerical error in the calculation of the 1999 final special franchise assessment for New York State Electric and Gas that were previously certified and established in 1999 special franchise agreement, reflecting the current inventory, the correct inventory. If you have any questions, please call from New York State Gas. Did they get that straightened out yet, Pat?
Not yet.
Number 15 on your agenda is for your information, gentlemen, and that's from Mr. Ed Trombley. Number 16 on your agenda. Jules, you're going to handle that letter from the Bob Vin Park?
The park wants a letter of, to back up the park part, and I want to know if you want to use the same letter that we had in 1997. And I don't know if everybody read this letter or not, but there's a few things in it that was probably up in the air here a little bit. It states in that letter that the town would take this thing over I don't know if the people feel comfortable with that. I mean,
Well, I reviewed that letter again, and that last part of that paragraph, and further, it is resolved that should the Bob Venn Park Incorporated be unable to do so, and said property shall forever maintained by the town of Champlain as a municipal park in this community, consistent with the rules promulgated by OPRHP, with the understanding that no town tax revenue shall be expended to do so. I don't know how you'd be able to do that. How could you take over the park?
if you're gonna take it over, you're not gonna
and not
spend tax
spend
dollars.
money,
I mean,
you know, so I would,
that has to be clarified.
I have no problem as long as we clarify that part. In the second part to that, Rodney Brown has drafted up a preliminary plan for the town of Champlain. More or less, the town of Champlain recognizes the space available for recreation resources within its borders and acknowledge that a new recreation opportunities will be necessary to properly accommodate the needs of the community. The intent of this plan is to identify and analyze the recreation resources that exist within the town and to provide recommendations to guide future recreation considerations within the town of Champlain. Rodney had the kindness to draft this up for us. What this is mainly is just a plan for the town of Champlain. And, if we adopt this, which, we probably should have some plans for park recreation anyway, so they know where we're going and where we've been. But this would also allow them an additional 5 points on their pre-application form, I think. So with the board's permission, I would like to adopt this resolution. Has everybody had time to read it? I know it came in late. It came in yesterday or today, and you just got it. And if you wanted to, it really can't be tabled. It has to be done tonight so that it can get in with the application. I know it's short notice. Does anybody have any comments on it that they don't like, or have had a chance to read it?
It's more of a letter of support than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think it's listing, all your parts of the town, not only the Bob Venn Park.
It states all the recreational parts of the town in there.
Yeah. It has somewhat of a way of showing where you're going. So,
Make a motion on the resolution that we pass it.
motion made by Mr. DeMars. Do we accept it? Preliminary plan. Seconded by Mr. Trahan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Carried. Now what about the letter? You
You
want
want
to...
the town clerk to rewrite this letter here and rephrase that last paragraph?
How do you want to change it?
Strike it.
Take it off?
I'll get with you tomorrow and take that part of it out right out of there.
Can I make a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to do that.
Motion made by Mr. Trahan to adopt a new letter.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DeMars. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried. Number 17 on your agenda, it says important notice. Reproduced below is a press release issued by the Tax Department June the 30th explaining the effects of New York State decision to appeal a recent court ruling concerning New York City non-residents' earnings tax. They're still going to have to pay it. So we don't have anybody we pay New York City tax to. Number 18 on your agenda, some Bureau of Business practice. And every day in the courts and the government agency making decisions on FMLA and ADA, Title B3, ADA, FSLA, and IRCA that directly affect you. You must know that the ins and outs of each of these changes mean to you. And what it is, basically, gentlemen, it just wants to sell us for $189 a book that'll tell you how to do it. I don't think we need it. Number 19 on your agenda, utility valuation, how it will affect you in your town. This is, of course, on the electric generator stations. That's for your information. Number 20 is from BLR, Business and Legal Reports Incorporated. And there is a newsletter. It does have a few important notes in it if you want to read it. Number 21, this is that fire protection contract that we went through the county to get. And they requested us to send a resolution, and Ralph did handle that this month, and it should be sent out. It's all done. And there's a sample of the resolution. We all agreed to it, so that's done. Number 23 is the meeting we have at Rouse's Point, and of course, Red and I are on that committee. Thank you, Red, for volunteering. Number 24 is the county legislators, and this goes to show you what the STAR Government Faculty School Relief Program means to the state of New York in coming up with that money. If you go to the second page of the town of Champlain, age exemptions have 11 to 1997, making it $274,330 worth of assessment. All ages, 106, was $2,338,211. Then if you go to 1998, you see where the rise is. You have 14, and you were at 413,862. All ages were 129 at 2,908,000. Then for 1999, Champlain age other is 28 for 760,000. All ages were 125, which is $2,927,000. On your last sheet, you can just see what that STAR program has done for Champlain. The senior stars, 366 people, $14,291,602. The senior star, 398, for $19,884,700, and residents are 1,070. So you can see that somebody's going to get a lot of exemption out there. I hope the state of New York just keeps this up. Number 25 on your agenda is from Real Property Tax Service. This is from James Gagnon, and this is 1999 Special Franchise Assessment for New York State Electric and Gas. You can see with the 1999 final assessment was $4,997,694. Sorry, $4,997,694. Recommended for 1999 final was $2,617,543, giving a difference of $2,380,151. Due to the complexity of this problem, we are working closely with the legal service, and will advise your assessor as soon as we have the means of correcting this error. And number 26 on your agenda is from the Association of Towns. Our dues for this year are $800, and that is based on the fact that the state controller has supplied us with each town's total revenues for 1997. The latest year for which this office has computed information. According to the state controller, the total revenues for the town of Champlain in 1997 were $1,512,628. And you can see where they give you a category on how your dues are assessed. And they are assessed at our case scenario from $1,250,000 to $1,699,000, brings us in the category of $800. Did you all get an Association of Town? I bet you didn't get a copy of this. This is good informational. This one here. That came in late too. I'll give you a copy of that tonight before you go. It's good information for you. We also received an annual drinking water quality report that we must send out to the users in the town of Champlain. Barb and Robbie has been working on this. We hope to get it out. What's the deadline, October?
October 12th.
October 12th is the deadline to go out, so it's... It's national parks. Activity, not local law. Tolerance. Top end, right away. Gee, gentlemen, I think that's all I have, finally. God. Go to committee reports, building committee, Mr. Tran, Mr. DeMorris.
Nothing on Joey, that would coincide with that. The park is having a get-together on September 10th at 5 o'clock, where they would be reading off the John Ross historical thing down at the park. And the town board invited, September 10th, 5 o'clock.
Seven, or 5
5 o'clock.
Rouse's Point Park? Rouse's
The
Point
Bob
Park?
Ben Park. The
Bob Ben Park?
Okay, Mr. DeMars. Grants Committee, Mr. Cookman, Mr. Willett. Board of Assessment Review, Mr. Willett's absent. Highway Committee, Mr. Trahan, Mr. DeMars.
Sam will give up the report on the highway. It's completed.
Water and Sewer Committee, Mr. Cookman, Mr. DeMars.
Nothing at this time.
Landfill update, Mr. Trahan.
Nothing up there at this moment.
Any other councilman have anything else they would like to bring up at this time? Go to clerk's report.
I have a letter. Please give some positive attention to the maintenance of the Stony Point Road. It is in rough condition, again with potholes in it. The town received some sizable taxes from the recently built homes out there over the years. There's another one being built now near where I have mine. It has hardly been maintained since the town took it over years ago. It would be nice to see it brought to standard like some of our other town roads. There are people who walk it regularly. Today there was a couple pushing a baby carriage. Not easy under the present conditions. Please give it some serious thought. Thank you, Frank Kavanaugh. That's all I have.
Superintendent Highway, Mr. Sam Castan.
Our roads are done, we come in under budget, and we just finished putting all the shoulders on today. Gentleman stopped by the other day and wanted to know if we still had that bucket for the cat, and he gave us $500 for it, took it. Now on, the question was last month, does it pay to plow county roads or we're losing money? Well, I traveled every beat. Norman's beat is 41.8 miles total, with no county roads whatsoever. Francis Miller's beat is 44.2 miles, with a total of 7.8 miles county roads.
How much on county?
7.8. All he has is La Valley Road and the Ridge Road. Bill Laverne's total beat is 32 miles. He has a total of 5.8 county roads. Tim Parsons beat down through Perry's Mills. He's got a total of 41.8 miles with a total of 5.6 county roads. So if you double the miles on the county roads, you come up to 38.4. That's 24% of the plowing is county roads, 76% of town roads.
26% for county.
24%, 76% per town. And actually, if you weren't to plow any county roads at all, Francis Miller's beat could be shortened by 6.2 miles, that's all. Bill Laverne's beat would be shortened by 5.8, and Tim Parsons' beat would be shortened by 1.6, because we have to travel these roads to get to the town roads.
But we have to sand those roads too, right?
That's right.
Is there a cents per mile figure, that an average cents per mile that it costs to run the plow, so that you can figure out how much it's costing us to plow a road?
I suppose we could keep track of the fuel and...
I just wonder if there'd be a
You don't
number
have to
out
keep
there
track of the
that...
fuel, really. Keep track of the time of the truck. And you charge the truck full price. That takes care of the fuel and maintenance of the truck.
Right. So you don't have to do that for 3 trucks, because one truck doesn't plow any county roads whatsoever. On a total of
You
159...
could total the whole thing out and divide the mileage into it.
Yeah. You've got 159.8 miles total round trip, and you got 38.4 county. So you've got 121.4 miles of town.
It's going 2 ways.
Yeah.
We could work it out that way, and when you know the hours it's spent on that, we could divide into that and get the price.
How long it takes to do a run?
Yeah.
Roughly 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we can add that up for the year, and then you know exactly what it is.
That's all I got.
Got a request.
Yeah.
Golf course roads and the Prospect Road. If I'm coming from the school on the Prospect Road, and I turn right onto the golf course road, I think that's where those stones are coming from, that are in the middle of that road all the time. I think they cut that corner too short, and they kicked those stones up.
Sam and I looked at that here a while ago. What we're gonna do is change the materials on the side of the road. And we've done that in this past
Yeah.
road deal
This year
this year.
here.
We're not using that item 4 there because it's not putting thick enough. And we're using finer material.
So you're gonna,
So we've already done that for the new road this year.
so you're gonna do that for that
Now we're
corner?
talking about, well, we'll hit some of that golf
Talking
course
about-
corners and do that.
School bus garage, that intersection area, John?
No, talking that, you come down the Prospect Road from school,
Yeah.
and you have a right-hand turn on the golf course road. I think, you know, what they're
Hayward
doing
Road.
is they're, yeah, on the Hayward Road, they're cutting that corner
Okay.
short, and they're kicking them stones up on the road. I think we had some smaller stuff there, you think that might help? Or-
We can try it.
Okay, Attorney Van Acker report. Okay, gentlemen, is there anyone else care to address the board at this time? No one cares to address the board? Okay, gentlemen, you have the post-audit bills, and you have the monthly bills,
Some extra bills.
and Ralph has some extra ones.
No, Joe, J. Burnell for coal mix, $243. Z Medical Services, $95.45. George Ducharme for mileage, $43.42. Roger Stone Products, Stone, $3,317.21.
I've got one more that's going over the list of bills here. It must have stuck with another voucher. It's for the repairs on bulldozing. Pretty close to $5,000. It wasn't paid last month. And she's got one in here for KC Canary. But it must have been stuck behind the other one because it's not listed here.
What page are on, second page of the bills?
That'd be the 3rd page KC Canary, I think is on. Yeah.
I have a copy of it because I put it in your program.
Copy of the bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the voucher in there. It must have stuck to another voucher and she didn't
I have a
Pick it
copy
up.
because I put it in that program that you
Right.
Is
got.
it in there? Both bills?
Huh?
Were both bills in there?
The one bill he's talking about,
have one of the bulldozers
$5,000.
repaired.
Well, I can get it out if you don't have a copy of it.
I don't have a copy with me, no.
Around $5,000, you want to
Yeah,
add it to this?
it's 49 something, yeah.
Add it to this then?
Yeah.
You did get a bill from them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have the voucher too. I mean,
Okay.
Like I said, it's gotta be stuck to another one in there.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Any discussion on the bills?
I'll make a motion, we pay the,
Motion by Mr. Cookman, the bills be paid. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Demars. Any further discussion on the bills? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Carried. Motion we adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that's why I asked you for the last one. It wasn't there.
I know, I thought I'd seen that. Was it one, would have been before that?
I don't think it's affected by that. That is not going to,